Welcome back to Marbella Now. My name is Nicole King, and yes, I am wearing a coat. It's cold. In fact, the weather has been so cold and changeable that half of Marbella is down with flu. What better reason to record this week's program at the pharmacy, not the chemist type pharmacy, but that healthy type pharmacy where everything comes from the farm, everything's natural, organic, and everything, all those little tips to naturally keep ourselves in the best of health to not succumb to this changeable weather. We've got some lovely guests lined up for the show, so come on in.
Let the feeling into your soul. Let it set you on your way. No need to hesitate. Time to make a change.
Hey, hey.
This lovely lady is a familiar face now on Marbella Now, because fortunately for the last couple of weeks Amanda's been joining us as our Agony Aunt, and it's lovely to see the positive feedback and the interaction with our public, and to see Amanda, it's so nice that you take the time to help people with this advice. I loved last week those friendships that can be a little bit overbearing, so it's really nice to see.
Thank you,
A
Nicole.
lot of people actually do go through the same things.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of us do in different ways, and we get pressurised by our friends for different reasons in different ways. But thank you very much for allowing me on to talk about things.
Well, there's so much.
Because I really enjoy it.
There's so much to talk about.
There is so much to talk about.
There is so much to talk about, and I want to take advantage today to actually introduce Amanda a little bit more to our viewers, because not only is she our Agony Aunt, she is also an armourer, which we'll talk about in a moment, but also she is the ambassador in Marbella for Internations, and everything. At the end of the day, we're a very small, close-knit community, every day closer, which is getting to know each other. I don't know really where to start. Yes, I do.
I do.
I wanted to chat with you because I know that you've just come back from filming with your husband.
I have
abroad.
indeed.
Your husband, for the movie world, as he's come from the army and he's an arms expert, goes to different film locations when they're using arms to do all the preparation and make sure it's all safe. And you've actually now become yourself an arms expert in this process.
I wouldn't say I was an expert, but I'm definitely an aficionado, definitely. And the last movie we've just done, I've learnt a lot from. I've done quite a few movies with him through the years.
But what was that? I saw a video that you posted. Was it an AK-47?
AK-47. It was. Okay. Anyone who knows about guns, it was cycling too fast. It wasn't me firing it wrongly. It was cycling too fast. But yes, that was. But
I mean, that's major force, no?
Oh yeah, I had a bruise because it was. The cartridges were going through the gun too quickly, and so I ended up with some bruising here. But depending on the size of the weapon and how used you are to it and how you know how to hold it, you can get quite, I mean, even a shotgun, anyone that's fired a shotgun, and lots of people go clay shooting and things like that. Here in Malaga there's a gun club. You can get bruising if a shotgun has a bit of a recoil, so the better quality the gun usually the less it happens. But the AK-47s are usually quite old, and so that was quite an old one. But no, I had great fun with it, and I fired some very big ones as well, which is even more enjoyable. So I didn't get that on film, unfortunately, but that was great fun.
When you were about to go on this last trip with your husband, we were talking about, well, whether it's women, equal rights, or different things, and you were obviously a little bit concerned that you were travelling to a country where we complain here about getting equal pay, but equal pay is the last thing they're thinking about in other countries.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jordan is a very westernised part of the Middle East, and there's a long history of a relationship between the Jordanian royal family and the British royal family. Most of the Jordanian royal family men males go to Sandhurst and have military training there and then go on to be in the army in Jordan. So it is very westernised, but there is still a definite feeling, for example, and this goes back to, I believe that we need to touch each other, and we need to have physical contact. I'll touch you on the arm, we'll say, give a kiss, hello, etc., etc. Walking around the streets in Jordan, even though it's a very westernised country, I wouldn't hold my husband's hand or hold his arm or put my arm around him or kiss him in public. But men will hold each other's hands. When they see each other, they will cuddle, they will hug. Men are much more tactile with each other, which makes me think that because it's not allowed between men and women, that then it happens between men and men, because there is a need. It's not a sexual thing, but there is a need for physical contact. Yes. Physical contact. So men hold hands walking down the street. Men are much more sort of touchy with each other than men are in the West, which is quite interesting and quite strange. And there are some very different things there. For example, we all know stayed at hotels, there are chambermaids, things like that. There are no chambermaids in Jordan, and I spent 2.5 months there 2 years ago filming, and I was there about 6 weeks this time. And they have chamber males, chamber guys, and they're usually teenage boys, because the idea of a woman going into a hotel room where a man might be on his own, possibly in the bath, or even if the room's empty, it's a guy's room, is not an acceptable thing for Jordan. And of course then you've got Jordan's bordered by Syria, Israel, Palestine, Iraq, so it's by much more fundamentalist countries that aren't as westernised. So you've got that influence. So on the edges of the country, the differences are more noticeable than in the city. In the capital, it's much more relaxed. But once you get out into the villages and things, it's very, very different.
Did you get a chance when you were filming? Were you in the city, or did you actually get to travel to these more remote locations?
We were in some very remote locations. We did quite a lot of filming on, it was an abandoned construction site in the middle of the desert. And there were thousands and thousands of flats, and they're all sort of, they've been left because derelict, there's no license, derelict, and I'm not allowed to talk too much about the actual content of the movie because I get my wrist slapped, and as I did when I posted some photographs on Facebook. And you also have to be very careful about what you photograph out there, because you're near so many borders, and it's a very politically sensitive country because of where it is. It's right in the middle of a lot of bad stuff going on around it. Yes, so we were in the middle of a desert, and that was quite interesting. And also, again, when I filmed 2 years ago there, the entire cast was male. There wasn't a single female on the cast. In this movie, the main character is female. So we had Rosamund Pike, ex-Bond girl, and she's done loads of stuff. She was the leading lady. And we also had Jamie Dornan, Mr. Grey, as anyone who's watched or read 50 Shades of Grey might know. So I got to meet him and share a shot or two with him, and they got to see my bottom as well, which I'll tell you about that later if we have time.
Exactly, I'm not so sure if we're allowed to the time of day that this sometimes goes out, whether we could talk about Amanda's bottom. But what I would like to talk about, Amanda, is go back to your counselling side.
Yeah.
Your life in itself, as is the case with many of us, has taken you through working in different professions and needing to learn certain talents and traits to deal with that profession. For example, you work with a funeral parlour, and you had to, there must be a lot of counselling when you're dealing with people.
Oh, absolutely.
When they really can't cope.
Absolutely.
Grief really can override every sense of logic that can...
Yeah. I also have to say, I was a funeral director for quite a while, and it was one of the most rewarding jobs I've ever had. And that sounds absolutely crazy, and a lot of people at a dinner party would ask you what you did, and you'd tell them, and they'd slowly move away. But then other people were very understanding, but it was one of the most rewarding jobs I've ever had. I loved it. But I've done everything from I've run clubs, I've been a funeral director, I hold therapy and workshop sessions because I've trained as a sexual wellbeing counsellor as well as a bereavement counsellor. So I do many things. My main sort of punch at the moment is the women of Marbella and helping the women of Marbella to feel good about themselves. I'm doing some workshops at the moment with Silken Sin. Details up on my Facebook page, Silken Sin.
What kind of workshops are they?
They're called Learn to Love Yourself a Little Bit More.
Oh my gosh, everyone sign up, sign up. We could all do with loving ourselves a bit more.
We could all do with loving ourselves a bit more. And if you love yourself, you love others, and positive energy about yourself gets passed on to others. I truly believe that. I think the more positive a person you are, it's almost like a bacteria it's catching, a great one, and it goes around. And so I'd like to encourage people to feel better. So my latest February workshops to start off 2018 in the right way and make people feel good about themselves, and hopefully that
So are these going to be group
on.
workshops, individualised working programs?
I do one-on-one sessions with Silken Sin and also with Lauren, which is my more serious therapy side. But with Silken Sin, I do workshops they're very light-hearted and fun, for up to 8 women maximum. I can do it for 4, so it can be a group of friends, it can be a group of strangers. I can do a one-on-one session and tailor it to whatever a particular lady needs. But the Learn to Love Yourself a Little Bit More workshops are about whatever age, shape, size, relationship status, anything, whatever you are, there is something lovable and positive and wonderful in you, and you just have to let that out and realise it. So it's about caring about ourselves and loving ourselves. And again, as I said, that gets passed on to family, to friends, to the community in a wider sense, hopefully. So
Well, I'd actually would love to see if we can work out of getting a camera to come to one of these sessions. I have this
very happy.
visualising, you're just talking about like a party atmosphere, like, you know, the old Victoria's...
Oh, it's definitely a party atmosphere.
But know what a great thing to get a bunch of women together and have Amanda come in and do like this workshop. Because imagine you must make it quite a lot of fun.
It's very interactive, and it's hopefully fun, and we usually have quite a few giggles and lots of laughs, and you know, everyone ends up sort of on their feet, hopefully dancing at the end and enjoying themselves. And that's a 3-part course, or I can do single one-on-one workshops, but they're great fun. And there's also one, Find Your Inner Sex Goddess, there's one, Strut Your Siren. You know, I can tailor things, but I really enjoy it, because to see someone leave after an hour and a half smiling, that makes me smile. So it makes me feel good.
The empowerment I see is when you go to everything you're saying.
Oh, absolutely.
It comes to helping each person feel empowered within themselves, whether it's sexually, as a friend, as a partner, as an individual. It's finding that inner power.
Absolutely, we've all got it in us. It's so important that we realise the power we do have, and the power we do have to make not only our own lives better, but other people's lives better. And it's like a butterfly effect. It goes on and on and on. And again, I know you're very into the community and getting people together and I think that's part of that as well, that, you know, that spreads out and becomes part of a community thing.
Well, I think there's too many things that we do not talk about.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we've been talking this week about cancer, and that's the big C.
No one
but you
used
always
to
talk
talk
about
about
the
it.
C, communication.
Yeah.
Things that begin, you always talk about things with C. It's that getting that communication. I think there's a big lack of talking. We don't talk enough. We all feel that we should know things, or that our problems are just us. And it's not. When you actually do communicate with others, you're really not as alone as we think maybe we are.
No, none of us are alone as we sometimes feel we are. And all of us feel alone at times. And that's a very sad situation. And we're not. And if you just reach out a hand, there is so much support out there. And whether you get that through joining voluntary organisations, or going for therapy, or coming to one of my fun workshops, or doing something with other people, or involving yourself with something, there is so much positivity out there, and none of us are alone.
That's beautiful words. And Marbella is renowned for being a city with so many single women. I mean, I think this is quite noticeable, whether it's through bereavement or whether it's through separation or whether it's for many reasons. You just don't have family around you, but there's no need to be alone. And if you do feel alone, or you feel that you need a little bit more empowerment, or just like someone to talk to, Amanda is certainly a a good direction to go in. You can email Amanda if you would like private consultations, anonymous consultations, or obviously if you'd like to get together for one of these workshops, or join a workshop, or have a workshop created for you and your gang.
Yeah, you can do that. You can tailor it especially for you. It can even be brought to you. I prefer them to do it at my location, but it can be brought to your home to be done for you.
There you go.
And then I can teach you how to clean an AK-47 at the same time.
At the same time. Well, how about that? An all-in-one package. Amanda, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
and thank you for
absolute
talking.
pleasure. We're honoured.
Yeah, I'm here in Marbella, but it says here I'm in La Canada.
If you haven't mastered the lingo, don't worry. Linear Director has a free GPS geolocator service that will come and find you. That's it for this evening's show. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you will join us again for another episode of Marbella Now tomorrow night at 8 o'clock for more of our guests. In the meanwhile, I'll say goodbye, take care of yourselves and be nice to each other. And don't forget, Tuesdays, free ginger shots here at the pharmacy. Keep that flu away.
And it's time.